Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to your calendars franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we had free agency. We also made a trade, and we only simulated through the preseason because the trade took us a while to make, because we basically were restructuring our defensive core so that way we could have people playing in the correct position. So our defensive core is looking a little bit different. Going into the season, we are giving a big opportunity this year to young offensive defensemen in Holmstrom to play in the top four. Also, Schaefer was prioritized over Novoseltsev. And we also got rid of Haken to basically bring in these two defensemen from the Blackhawks and Brendan Fisher, not Fraser. I was thinking of the actor, and Lars Gustafsson. So our defensive core is a little bit different than it has been in years past, but I think it is a little bit better in a way because Fisher, for instance, is a much better fit for this top six pairing than Haken was. Haken was a terrible fit on this pairing, so I think that's a little good upgrade in a way, even though he's listed as a depth defenseman. Also, having Holmstrom on the second pairing is a little bit better, obviously, because he's a 50% fit on that second pairing instead of the top six. And Schaefer obviously has been on this top six, our top four pairing for a while. We are going to try and scheme fit him and Holmstrom so we could try and get them to fitting better on that second pairing. But if we can't, it's not the end of the world. And then also Gustafsson, who we brought in, isn't a really good fit for that top six either. So I am going to try and still scheme fit him so maybe he can make this top six pairing a little bit better as well. Because I think that's been the main issue with this team in the past is we don't have guys that really fit some of those lines that well. So I think that should help out things a little bit. Now, we are also getting a little bit of a youth injection this season, which should be also interesting because we do have Marek Mashenko making his NHL debut this season. Should be interesting to see how he could do. He was a former top 10 pick of the Dallas Stars. We got in the Anton Frundell deal. And we also have Nikolai Kazanov, who was also a part of that same trade, making his NHL debut this season. He was also a top 10 pick in 2038. So I'm excited to see what those two guys could do. Also excited to see what Biggers could do on the third line next to Leahy. Hopefully that line works out well still. And then our top six is pretty similar to what it has been in the past. So I think this team is going to be fantastic again this season. Obviously, I'm hoping for better results in the playoffs, though, that's why we made some adjustments with guys like Kazanov and Mashenko jumping to the NHL, and then also our defensive core getting a little bit reworked. So excited to see what our team could do this season. Hopefully, like I said, it's another good run for this team, and hopefully it results in a Stanley Cup win because we are getting kind of close to the end of the series because after this season, I believe we only have 8 seasons left, which is kind of insane that I haven't won a cup at this point in time. But anyways, before we get into starting off the season simulation, we'll probably simulate up to January 1st in this episode. Let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll see how this team could do. So the first comment is from Sourtaku, who says 6 by 7 million wouldn't be a bad contract for Schaefer, and without a clause, you should be able to move it easily if necessary. Also need to trade Nielakainen in next episode. So yeah, we are probably going to give Schaefer that extension we were looking at near the end of last episode, and we do need to find a way to trade Nielakainen. At the moment, even though I really like Nielakainen on paper, there's just not a way to fit him into this roster, as you guys can see with all the youngsters jumping up. Like, if Kazanov didn't jump up as much as he has, obviously we wouldn't have had to make this type of deal, but Nielakainen was fantastic for us last year in the playoffs. He also had a career year in points, in 39 points. He had 21 goals. Like, he's a pretty solid player, don't get me wrong, but last year's playoffs is probably the best he's going to do. I don't think he's going to be much more than that. So unfortunately, since he's technically a healthy scratch on this team, we're going to have to part ways with him, which kind of sucks. But he is also in the last year of his deal, so it kind of makes sense to part ways with him at this point in time. He's one of the biggest players on our team too, so we might lose a little bit of size after the trade, but that's okay. We probably will trade him for like a depth forward and maybe a pick, or maybe even just a pick, because is there any guys in the AHL that could come up? Not really, actually, for that matter. So, yeah, we'll probably trade him for a depth option and a pick. I think that's probably the best thing our team could do. We don't really have an AHL forward that is worth calling up yet, so that's probably what we'll look to do with that trade. But, yeah, we definitely will go do that Schaefer contract, so we might as well go do that already, just so I don't end up forgetting, because he's in the last year of his deal before he's a pending RFA. And like I said, we did prioritize him over the likes of Novoseltsev. Novoseltsev I really like too, but I decided to go with Schaefer just because I feel like, I don't know, he's looking like he's going to be maybe the best defenseman out of the low elites that we've drafted the last few years, so I'd prefer probably in a way to hold on to him. So let's see if we could get him on a nice 6-year deal at $7 million. We should be able to drop this down to around $7 million because of the fact that he does have organizational interest. And 6x7 really isn't that bad when you compare it to other defenders on our team at the moment. Because if you look at other defensemen, Tatar's just getting over 7 million, and then obviously Howden's getting paid a lot more because he provides a lot more offense. So let's offer that contract to Schaefer, and hopefully accepts that before the start of the regular season. And the last and final comment is from Michael Dose, who says, time for Nielikainen to be traded. And yes, unfortunately, it's time to do that. So let's get to trading away Nielikainen and seeing what we could get in terms of a depth forward. I probably would prefer a center depth forward just because at the moment, we do not really have a depth forward that is a center, I believe. Yeah, I think our only depth forward was, if I remember right, who was it? It was Sundin. So we probably need a depth forward that could actually win faceoffs. That way, if we have any center injuries, we could just put that guy in. So let's see what we could do in terms of trading away Nielikainen. Let's just go find trade just first and foremost, just to see what type of value we could get for him. So Nielikainen doesn't have a lot of value because he is in the last year of his deal. Let's see what teams are interested. No, nothing's found on an open block. That's interesting. Okay, so we are going to have to make a trade up on our own, which kind of sucks, but is what it is. We also do have some good prospects coming, though. Like, eventually Dempsey's going to be a really good player for his team. I'm excited to see what that guy develops into. Like, he could be NHL bound next season, so there might even be more changes after this offseason ahead. So, excited to see what this team could do this season before we make those adjustments. But what teams have interest in Nielikainen out of curiosity? Is there any teams interested in him? Boston's interested. I'd prefer probably to send him to a Western Conference team, though, just because of the fact that, obviously, then we wouldn't have to play him as often. Calgary has interest, so Calgary could be a team. Do they have a depth forward center that would work for our team? Like somebody that's like a 78 overall or something like that? They have two 79s, 25-year-old Durrett. He is listed as a depth forward. He's a sniper. I don't know about a center sniper. I'd probably prefer a two-way forward. Koltsov is a playmaker. He's also a lot younger. Don't think those guys are really what I'm looking to get, to be honest. They're not bad, but I prefer probably somebody that's more defensive. I'm not going to trade him to Chicago because we've made so many trades with Chicago already. We might as well send him to a completely different team. Same with Dallas. Let's look at Edmonton, I guess. Do they have any depth forward centers? I don't want Easton Cowan. He's pretty old at this point, which is kind of funny saying that. Rogowski? Yeah, Rogowski. Brooks Rogowski, I mean, he's an okay depth option. He is a two-way forward. Not the best defensive awareness, though. So, probably not what I'm looking for. I wonder if I could go on the player search and try and find a better option. LA I've made some trades with recently, too. I prefer to trade a lot of guys to different teams, so there's a higher chance one of them will win a Stanley Cup if we don't. 77 in Griffith, 24 years old, minor scoring forward. Don't really want a minor scoring forward. There is Ovechkin, but he's a third-line checking forward, so not going to take him. What else we got here for Western Conference teams? Not a lot of Western Conference teams are interested in Nielikainen, which is kind of surprising. So St. Louis, what do we got here? 78 at 30 in Stolars. What's your first name? Adrian Stolars. 78 snipers. Well, good face-off stats. Decent defensive awareness and stick checking. Okay shot blocking. But do I need somebody like Stolars? His defensive stats are pretty bad based on the plus-minus the last few years. So I probably don't want to take a chance on him. There's also Emiliano Woolley, who is a playmaker. I would prefer, like I said, a two-way forward if I can. We might actually go player search instead. See if we could find somebody. Utah we've made some deals with as well in the past, but let's see what they got. Cardwell, 78 at 31. Let's see how good this guy is. He's a sniper as well. Good face-off stats once again. I think face-off stats are an important thing, at least for the depth forward. This guy's also a sniper. A lot of depth options that are snipers. I prefer, like I said, two-way forwards that can help us out in a lot of different ways. Washington, Winnipeg. Does Winnipeg have a buddy on this team? Let's see. 78 at 32 for Preston. That's a real guy, right? Yeah, Mathis Preston. Another sniper. There's also Rabbit, 78 at 26. Fourth line forward, though, for Rabbit. Rabbit would be kind of like a perfect option almost in a way because he's a grinder, but I don't want somebody listed as a fourth liner or else they will complain about ice time. So let's go to the player search instead. See if we could find somebody that maybe fits our bill a little bit better that we could bring in. So we'll go forward, and we will go player type as a two-way. We'll go, doesn't really matter about handedness. Player role, we want a depth forward. And then we want probably somebody with good defensive stats and all that. So defense, let's bump this up to at least 3.5 stars. And then select ratings, I guess we could add some stuff like that as well, like face-offs and all that. So if we want, let's select the rating. Wait, this is overall. We want to go to face-offs. I don't usually use this type of part of the search engine that often, but might be useful for this. So let's say a minimum of a 79 on face-offs. That might not be a bad idea. So let's search that, see if we could find somebody that meets the criteria, but apparently nobody does. Maybe I kind of asked for a bit too much when I said somebody that's 3.5-star defense. What about 3-star defense? 3-star defense, you got Olsen and Beck, who are both old at this point. Maybe I should just get rid of... maybe I should just get rid of the defensive rating and also the face-off rating. Just somebody that is a two-way forward, if possible. That also... And there's not a lot of... Wait, this doesn't make any sense. There's no way there's only 11 two-way forwards in the league. Oh, maybe listed as depth options, I guess. So most of them are listed as fourth liners or AHLers. But in terms of depth forwards that are two-way, Olsen, yeah, definitely would be probably the best option. I don't know if I would want Brett Olsen. He's got actually pretty good face-off stats. Pretty damn good face-off stats, 14 points. His plus-minus isn't the worst. Was actually pretty good in Toronto last year in the playoffs. But he was recently signed by LA. 1-year deal at just over $1 million. That might not be a bad option, to be honest, but I don't know if it makes sense from LA's perspective. Danielson's a decent one as well, but he's also 36 years old at this point. Well, I think the only one we could go for is Olsen, probably, because there's not much else. So let's go to LA and make a trade for Olsen. We'll probably send Nielikainen to LA, get an Olsen and a pick. I don't know if there's much more I could get in terms of upgrading the depth options. Like I said, we have to get a depth forward, because if it's a fourth liner, they'll complain too much, and I don't want the complaints, really. So, Olsen, he's not on the block, but do they want Nielikainen? I think they did want Nielikainen, if I remember right. Yes, they do. Perfect. So send him Nielikainen. We'll get in Olsen as that depth option, and we will also take back... Maybe I could get a second. Maybe I could get a third. I should be able to get a third rounder. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that second rounder. That's a bit too much value. Let's take a third for 2042. That should maybe work. We might have to add like a pick on our side, but Nielikainen to LA for Olsen in a third round pick. And that's accepted. Okay, perfect. So there's a good little deal. Nielikainen shipped off to Hollywood, and we get ourselves in a new depth option. We also get ourselves an extra pick in the deal, so I don't mind that. It is a move that we had to kind of make, because we're going to lose Nielikainen regardless this offseason, I think. So bringing in Brett Olsen as that depth forward center, I like it. Like I said, he's probably the best option we could have brought in this type of role. He's got good face-offs, decent defensive awareness and stick checking, so at least he'll come in and be able to win face-offs, which I think is a big benefit for a depth forward. So let's simulate to the start of the regular season and see how our team does. We'll probably simulate up to January 1st in this episode, so around halfway point, if our team is doing good, which more than likely they should at this stage. They're just such a good team that I would expect it. And Schaefer rejected our offer at 6 years at $7 million. He says it's too low for him, apparently. So we are going to have to renegotiate some offer here with Schaefer. We definitely want to get this done before the season if possible. Well, actually not before the season, but into the season early on, because the longer we go on, the more money that's going to cost. So we don't want to be costing too much money with Schaefer. So Schaefer, let's see, your money probably went up a bit, right? Yes, it did. You only want a 1-year deal now at $10 million. Well, buddy, I'm going to tell you this. Oh, man, I can't even do that. We might have to wait till the offseason to renegotiate, because his went from 6 years now to a 1 year of interest. That's not good. I could maybe get him for 2 years, but then he'd be a free agent. 1 year, he's a UFA as well. So as much as we wanted to do that 6x7, he said no, and now he's changed his mind on the money. Like, even if I had a full no trade clause to this deal, I might be able to get him for like closer to 3 years, but it's over 10 million regardless. So I'm gonna wait till the offseason with him and Ragnarsson and Holmstrom and all those type of guys. But I was kind of hoping we'd get a deal done before the season starts, but looks like we're gonna have to wait a little bit, which is okay, but kind of sucks having to do that. All right, so let's see how this team does anyways in terms of simulation. We have a little bit of a new coaching staff too. We have some upgraded assistant coaches, so I'm excited to see what this team does this season. And after every single month, we're going to basically be trying to scheme fit those guys to fit our roster better. And hopefully some of them start to do it, because that would be just helpful in terms of making our team better for the playoffs. So let's go to the 1st of November, see how we do in our first month of action. Hopefully it's pretty decent. Emiliano Russell on waivers, who is a center. Is this the type of guy I could have traded for? Literally it is. Okay, interesting. Good defensive awareness, good face-offs, good shot blocking, and stick checking. He probably would have been a good option to have as like that depth forward, but I think Olsen's okay too. But would have been nice to just claim Russell here instead, and then we wouldn't have to worry about a depth forward, but oh well. So we beat Carolina anyways, 5-4 in the first game of the season. There's another guy on waivers who's a defenseman, Marcel Vigé, 76 overall, low 7th D. Damn, this guy didn't really pan out. Offensive defenseman. Huh. Don't really need him, but decent option there. We do beat Florida 2-1, so some close games to start off the season, but we are winning games, which is good to see. We do lose to Chicago, of course, after we made some deals with them recently. But we do bounce back with 2 straight wins, and then we lost to Vegas 2-0. And in our last game of the first month against the Nashville Predators, a lot of road games to start off the season. Kari Mäkinen has been injured till November the 5th, so it's only for a few days. It's not too bad. Let's just go replace a player on that, because he'll be literally back for the next game. But a lot of road games to start off the season. Actually, no home games in the first month. That's maybe the first time I've seen that. We literally started off the season on a 7-game, 8-game, what the heck is this? 10-game, 11-game, 12-game, 13-game road trip. Our first game of the season that's on home ice is literally November 21st. So we have a little bit of a tough schedule to start off this year. A lot of road games, but we are 5-2 in our first 7 games. So pretty impressive that our team's able to win games on the road like this early on, but it's actually kind of insane that we have that many home games or road games before we actually play on home ice. Because then we play 4 straight at home. Like, late in the season, we probably have a big home stand or something like that. All right, let's try and scheme fit some of those guys that we were mentioning about. So if we go down here, and we will first talk to Schaefer, because he was one of the big ones. Let's see if we could get him to play better on that second pairing. So we'll go scheme fit. It says convincing, actually, now. That's good, because before it was saying kind of very risky, so let's see if he'll accept that. Nice, he'll agree with it. So we'll go with line 2, which is the second pairing, and that will be good. So Schaefer on board with the changes. Like to see that. Hopefully he will stick around long term after the season. So there is Schaefer done. And then we'll go down to our next player, which is Holmstrom. Holmstrom's a big one to get up there, because obviously he wasn't fitting well on the top 6 or the top 2, I think it was. Or actually, I can't remember which pairings he worked best on, but this one's still very risky apparently, but we will definitely still try it. So let's see if we can get him to change. Not yet. Okay, that's fine. We'll ask you again in a month. Maybe you'll change your mind. So Holmstrom's still on the rejection. What about Gustafsson, who we brought in from Chicago? Because I brought him in because I thought he would work well on our top 6, and he didn't. So at least in terms of scheme fit, it's apparently convincing, so we should be able to get Gustafsson done here, right? Yes, we can. Nice. So we'll get you for line 3. So we got a couple defensemen done, which is good. That's exactly what I kind of want to see. Like I said, we do still need to get Holmstrom. I don't remember if there was anybody else I wanted to scheme fit. I feel like there was, but maybe not. Fisher. I don't think so, actually, for that matter. Yeah, I think the rest of this is fine. Okay, perfect. So now if we actually go to our edit line screen here and look at our defensive pairings, we should have some better chemistry, hypothetically, on the second and third pairing. Yep, perfect. So Schaefer now has a good fit on both those, which is fantastic. Gustafsson's a better fit. Fisher, we could try and get him to be a little bit better with the whole line /pinch, but he's not that bad. And then Holmstrom is the only guy I need to really try and get going. He is actually an okay fit on the second pairing, but I would still like him to be better if possible. So the chemistry is starting to come alive quite a bit in our team's lineup. Let's continue assimilating and see how we do. We still have a lot of road games before we actually play on home ice, so let's see if we could have a really good record after a really weird start to the year. Because like I said, we don't play our first game here till this on home ice, which is against a tough Flames team. So let's go to the 20th, see how we do to start off the season on all these road games. Mackinnon is back, like I said, for the next game. That's good news because obviously didn't really want him to miss too many games this season if possible. So good to have him back in. We'll put him in there. Obviously, I guess technically when Mackinnon goes down, we could move Bjorkstrand back to center, hypothetically, and then play a right winger or something instead. So at least we have a little bit more depth to our lineup because of that. That's not a good injury. Brian Biggers has been injured with an MCL sprain. I was hoping he'd have a big year this year. He's going to be out for like a month. So that's quite unfortunate. Let me go edit my lines manually on this. I was going to go replace player, but let's move. I think Mashenko was a third line checking forward. I could move Kazanov to the right side, so I think that's what I'll end up doing is promoting Mashenko. I was thinking about promoting Ulanov, but I don't really think I want to. So let's see what we got here. Olsen is a depth option. Sundin definitely needs to be in the lineup. We'll throw him in. Is he okay with his ice time? Probably not. He's a third line checking forward. Damn, man. He's another guy that might have to get dealt in at some point this season. I didn't realize he was listed as a checking forward. But we'll throw him in right now. Hopefully he doesn't complain too much about his ice time, though, because like I said, that would be not good. But I guess he is going to get to play for like a full month with the injury to Biggers, so at least that's good. But still kind of unfortunate that Biggers went down. Let's see how we are doing here. Still winning a lot of games. 7-3 so far in our first 10. 3 more road games before we finally get to play on home ice, which is kind of insane. Tampa and Florida, can we beat either of these teams? As Nicholas DeYoung, goalie prospect, has been injured in the AHL, so that's unfortunate for him, considering he's the backup too. We'll go replace player on that. Tampa, we lose 7-6, and we lost 5-4 to Florida, so a little bit of a bad ending to that road trip, but 8-5 to start off the season. And now we get to play our first home game of the year, which is pretty damn insane. It's this late into the year already. We're not even in a playoff spot at the moment, which is kind of crazy, but I bet you the Eastern Conference in general is just going to be a war zone till the end. Like, we're almost one of the worst teams in our division at this point, just because of those 2 losses back-to-back, probably. All right, let's go to the end of the month here. So we'll go to December the 1st, and then we'll do some more scheme-fitting stuff, trying to get Holmstrom to fit that pairing, as we have another injury, and this one is actually quite substantial. The young rookie who we are excited about making his debut this season has broken his leg in his first season, and he will be out till February the 15th. So that's very unfortunate. Let me just go replace player on that. We will put Nicholas back in for the AHL, but that is not good. We are getting kind of slapped with injuries here early on in the year, which is not good. Maybe it's because we had so many road games or something like that, but yeah, that's not ideal. That's not ideal. Hopefully the team could fight off a little bit of adversity. That will give a higher chance to, I guess, Sundin to play more games again. But yeah, that sucks. Like, this kid is going to miss most of his rookie season because of that. And I was hoping he'd be like a Calder favorite this year. So guess we'll have to wait till next year to see if he's going to be really good. Like, he will be getting, oh my goodness, another injury. And this one's just an upper body injury, but he's literally out for over a month. Nicholas Holmstrom, who I wanted to scheme fit, will be out for over a month with that upper body injury. So we are getting kind of bombarded here with injuries in this episode. And that's why our record doesn't look as good as it should. God damn, man. Why are we having so many injuries? Like, did half the team just, like, decide to, I don't know, be made of glass or something? Like, goddamn, 10-8 in our first 18 games. They're only 2 points back of a wild card spot, so we're still in the good race, but these injuries definitely will make it tougher for our team to come back and have a really good next half of the season, I think. So let me go here to, I guess, this. Can I talk to the injured guys even still? I think so, right? Yeah, Holmstrom's injured at the moment. Let's see. Oh, I could talk to him about his current injury. I didn't realize that, but I can't talk about scheme fitting him right now because he's injured. Let me see. What can I actually talk about his injury too? Doc says I'll be out with an upper body injury. This is not how I expected the start of the season to go. Let's go over my options. What the heck? I didn't even know this was a thing. Did you guys realize this? You could talk to injured guys about certain things. Heal naturally. You should not be play through this injury. Rest up because we will need you as soon as you're good to go. You should not play through this injury. You should rest an extra week on top of that before you return. Huh. Well, we'll just go with heal naturally, but I didn't realize you could have conversations about injuries. That's cool. Who was the other one I wanted to scheme fit though, or was there anybody else? I don't think so, just because, yeah, we got the other guys done with. Oh man, poor Kazanov. I really feel bad for some of those young guys, and apparently a lot of our goals for per game and stuff isn't looking very good at the moment. So we're bad defensively right now. Goals for per game, we're not doing too well. Our power play is good, but our penalty kills apparently not super great either. So a little bit of a lackluster start. I would expect the team to do better once we're fully healthy again, but this is kind of a weird year so far for this team. Let's go one more month, and then we'll obviously see what we could do here. Damn, we have like 5 straight weeks of home games on a Monday, which is kind of weird. Like, this scheduling is kind of insane, but let's go another month, and then we'll obviously see if our team's mostly healthy by then. I know Kazanov won't be healthy. I guess technically multiple people won't be healthy, because Holmstrom still isn't out back till February, so this has been a weird year. Bigris is back. That's one of the players I was hoping to see back soon, so we'll get Sundin, or actually we'll get Olsen out of, wait a second. It was Sundin, is going to be going in for Olsen, so I'll take Olsen out here, and we'll throw in Bigris. He could literally go where Kazanov was. And we will go with that. That's fine. Sundin will stay in this part of the lineup, I think, as well. Yeah, we'll go with that. Actually, yeah, we'll just go with that. That works. I got to double check that Bigris is still in the power play, though, because he matters more. Yeah, I thought I made a mistake here. So we'll take Sundin out. We'll throw in Bigris on this power play. Carlson's also in the lineup right now, which is at least good that he'll get some playing time with Holmstrom's injury, but these injuries kind of suck. Kind of suck. So we'll get Biggers back in here too. Let me take a look at those defensive pairings with Carlton on it. How are they looking? They don't actually look that bad. Okay, it's fine. So they still look okay, but obviously these two big injuries kind of hurt a lot. Like, obviously our depth is being tested quite a bit this season so far. All right. Well, let's see how we continue on this season. Let me actually stop the sim so I could actually see what's happening in some of these games. Okay, winning some games, losing some games, not really a surprise, but still, this has been kind of a weird year. Maybe it will make us have a little bit more of a mid-season so we have a really good playoffs. I honestly don't even know. But we are having some pretty good offensive games as of late. It looks like we're up to 17-10, so maybe we're starting to catch fire at the right time with Bigris being back. There's a 9-1 win over Montreal, so maybe this team's starting to find its game, which is good. And then once Kazanov comes back, then our team should be really good. But we are going to be 21-12 at January the 1st. We do not have a single overtime loss at this point, which is kind of insane that we have no overtime losses at this point. But looking pretty good, actually, now. We are first place in the Metro, actually tied for first. It's a 3-way tie, but we do have a game and 2 games in hand on those other teams. So it's kind of a tight race here for the playoffs right now. But at least it's still early in the season, so I can't talk to Holmstrom yet because of the scheme fitting stuff. So did anything improve that month? Yes, it did. Our goals for jumped up to 4, so we're a good offensive team. Our power play is still doing good. Goals against per game and penalty kill are still kind of struggling, so those still need to improve. But obviously a lot of season left to go. Our team could definitely get those going a little bit too. I'm kind of surprised we're more of an offensive team, but we did change coaches, so maybe that changed things a bit. Let's go to the 7th, and then Holmstrom. Actually, no, he's back in February, isn't he? I think it was February, not January, so both those guys still out for quite a while at this point, which kind of sucks, so especially considering one's only an upper body injury. Let's go to the halfway point, though, of the season, which means only for 8 more games, so 4 games there, and I'd be right here. So we'll go to the 19th, and we should be at the exact halfway point of the season. We'll see what everything's been going good for this team. If it's been bad, we'll see how those injuries are looking. But I'd say our team's doing pretty good considering we had so many injuries early in the year. Like I said, it's been a little bit up and down, but those injuries probably held us back a little bit during some of the months. Biggers has been injured again. Of course, he has, out till the 25th. Let's go replace player on that, I guess. There's a 4-3 win. Washington is a 2-1 win. And Philadelphia is a 5-1 win. 28-13 with no overtime losses at this point. We're on 56 points. We're first place in the Metro. Second place in the Eastern Conference. And looking like probably fifth in the entire league. So a little bit of a weird year, but I think our team is finding its game. So let's take a look at some stats and see what's been going good for the team so far at this point in time. If we head on over to this part, the matchup part, we are the third best offensive team. Our goals against per game has dropped down to fifth now from wherever it was before. And our penalty kill and our power play are both good too. So everything's looking pretty good on this team compared to where it was at the beginning of January and such. So I think we're trending in the right direction, even though it's been a bit of an up and down year. All right, let's take a look at some stats. Actually, let's go through the edit lines part to look at the player stats, because that way we could see if there's any lines doing really bad. So we'll start off with our top line of the Crane, Makinen, and Bjorkstrand variety. Crane's having a good year. 39 points, so he's almost point per game, plus 12. Looking pretty good here early on for the captain. No complaints. We head to Makinen, 39 points in 40 games for him as well. 9 goals, 30 assists. This top line seems to be doing a lot of good work for our team right now. And Bjorkstrand's on 30 points in 41 games. So he continues to be the more quiet top 6 forward a bit, but he's still on pace for a 60-point season, which is not bad. It's just he's not getting back to those point totals where he was like 5 years ago. So he's still doing good, but maybe not as good as I was anticipating when I gave him that contract that I did a number of years ago. So there is Bjorkstrand. We head to the second line. Seal Fido's been good. 37 points from a second liner. Fantastic through 41 games. Giordano's been good too. 36 points. And then we also have Ragnarsson, who's having a great season here. 37 points already for him in his third season. Hopefully he stays healthy the entire year, because this is probably a career year for him. So in general, our top 6 has been really good. Almost everybody's near point per game, which is nice to see. What about our bottom 6? So third line, we have Marek Mashenko in his rookie season. 14 points. A little bit quieter than I was anticipating, but he's not been bad defensively. And it's okay. He doesn't shoot the puck a ton either, so I'd say it's okay, but obviously more work to do for him. Hopefully he continues to develop. We look at Ronnie Leahy. He's been pretty good as a third-line center. Maybe not as good as last year, but he's still on pace for, actually right around the same amount of points, I guess, technically. Maybe 10 less points, 52 points. It's not bad. Obviously, he's getting paid only 5.8, and he does have that modified no-trade clause, so I'll take it. We also have Brett Olson, who's been a depth option for us. He's played 12 games and has 5 points, so he's actually doing well as a depth forward at the moment. I'll definitely take that. We also have Sundin on 8 points in 32 games. He's not getting a ton of ice time, so I won't complain too much about that. Korliuk's actually been pretty good on the fourth line, 15 points. Is -6, though. Okay. And we have Ulanov on only 5 points. That's kind of a downfall from him. He's not trending in the right direction, really. Okay, so the bottom 6 isn't scoring a lot, but the top 6 is. So at least there's some positives, but I'd say the offensive core maybe still a little bit of work in progress. How has Biggers and Kazanov done when they've been healthy? Biggers only on 9 points in 25 games. He's missed a ton of time due to injuries, so I'm not going to say he's been bad. Trying to think of what he'd be on pace for through 82 games. I guess he would be on pace for a better season, correct? Let me actually open my calculator up here and figure this out here. So 9 points in 25 games. And we'll times that by 82. He's on pace for right around the same amount of points as last year, like 29.5, so maybe a little bit worse, but not by much. The injuries definitely could be playing a little bit of a factor, though. So he's listed as a second-line forward now, which is kind of insane because I don't know how he's a second-line forward, but there's a lot of guys that need to get more ice time, which is going to be really tough with this roster. So a lot of guys still might get traded at some point, which kind of sucks. Kazanov in his first 14 games had 7 points, so he was doing quite well early on. I mean, a point every other game. So he was doing good, but unfortunately, he's still not back for like just under a month, I think. So, scored goals early in his games into his career, but has had a lot of games with no points either. So, we'll see if he ends up picking it up a bit once he comes back. Obviously, he wasn't getting any power play time, so I'll take it. All of our depth options are injured right now, which is kind of insane. Or all those guys are scratched, or basically all our depth forwards are in the lineup are in depth defenders. So injuries have not been good, but we've been trending good lately. What about our defensive core? Let's actually start with the top 6 because I want to see Houghton's point stats at the end of that. So Fisher's came in and done a decent job. He's an even 0, 6 points in 41 games, 5 goals. I mean, he is not the most offensive player in the world, so I'll take it. And then we have Gustafsson on 5 goals as well, 7 points. So that top 6 pairing's been okay. They've brought in some goals for our team, and that's all I really care about, to be honest, is good defense and maybe giving in a little bit of offense. So good stuff. Carlton's been good. Carlton's been actually a surprising revelation so far as that depth defender. He is listed as a top 6 now, which means, do we need to make any more changes to get him more ice time? Because he is going to complain if he gets scratched, but he's been good so far. 9 points in his first 26 games. So we'll see if that continues as he plays in the lineup while Holmstrom is currently injured. Is he getting power play time? He is. Okay, that makes sense. A little bit then more. All right. And then his defense partner in Schaefer, 15 points in 41 games plus 6. So Schaefer's been on pace for a 30-point season. He's been pretty good. Like, we don't really need these guys to provide a ton of offense because obviously Houghton will do the majority of the offense, but so far been okay with everybody's stats, good plus minus, and that's all that matters. Top pairing, Tatar's been really solid too. 25 points in 41 games, so he's on pace for 50 points this year. His plus minus is good as it typically is, so no problems with Tatar. What about our boy? Houghton's still looking fantastic. There's still maybe another chance he could win another Norris this season. Almost point per game, 38 points, 41 games, plus 17. He continues to be really impressive. Very, very impressive. 683 points in 898 games. Yeah, this guy's looking good. I feel like he could be up there in league lead in terms of defensive points too. Will he win a 5th straight Norris? But yeah, he's been really, really good so far. I'm really glad we brought him in from Chicago all those years ago because I knew he was going to be a beast. All right, so far I'd say there's not been any huge issues. Like if we go back to the player stats part instead, I don't think there's been any underlining super big issues. Because I feel like our depth scoring is good, even though there's some bottom 6 options that haven't been super good maybe. But like if we look at our point leaders, like a lot of guys are on 30 plus points. And you have guys on 20 plus points as well. And if you look at the plus minus department, no real outliers except for the 4th line maybe, but it's not by much. One thing we forgot to look at though is the goaltending. How's the goaltending been? Menard's got an 894 through 11 games. Solovyov has a 905 through 36 games. So Solovyov's looking solid again this year, which is good to see. He's not doing as good as last year, but his goals against is way down. He's winning a lot of games. Yeah, I'd say he's done a solid job this year, but he might be on the decline relatively soon. I've not been impressed with Menard's stats, really, because when I brought him in, I was expecting him to do maybe what he did in LA last year, but so far not the case, really. We'll see if he could put up any good numbers in the playoffs if he gets any games, but I will definitely just hold on to him probably for the rest of the season, even though he's not been good. Because backups are a major crapshoot in this game, I feel like. So, in general, I've been liking the way this team's been simulating. A lot of guys on 10-plus goals. A lot of good defensive numbers as well. I have really no problems, I'd say, at this point. But I don't know if there would be any trades to make in the next episode. Let me take a look at some point leaders across the league right now, too. Holy crap. Okay, well, we're not going to have a scoring leader this year. Guerin on 72 points in 43 games with the Rangers. Insane. Yeah, we don't have that really high-end talented player that leads the league in points right now with this roster. That might be one thing we need to look at eventually, but maybe not. And then from a defensive standpoint, Houghton might not end up winning a Norris this year. He has 4 games less than Mercier. But Mercier's point per game on Seattle. It would be nice to see Houghton win another Norris, but Mercier might end up getting it this season. He has none so far. I definitely could see him winning it at some point, though. And our former defenseman, Sal Malainen's still doing really good in Colorado, so I guess that trade worked out well for them. From a goalie perspective right now, there is some goalies on like 920 save percentages, so I doubt we're going to have a Vezina winner. We might get a Norris winner depending on how stuff goes in the second half. But we might not have a lot of individual hardware again. But that's okay, because we're more of a team that works all together, not just one guy, basically. I feel like the Rangers are based on one guy, and that's Guerin. So there is that. Final few things we got to do before we end off this episode is taking a look, I guess, just for fun at the trading block and stuff like that. Also, draft board. Wait, what picks do we have again this year? We have Chicago's first. We have Dallas' second. How's Chicago doing this season? Out of curiosity. How is Chicago doing? Probably pretty good because Bidarpa's up there in points, right? Let's see. Chicago is currently number 1 in the Central Division after that trade. So, I guess we're getting a late first-round pick unless we decide to trade that away this season. That's unfortunate. Speaking of Chicago, let me actually go to their lines for a second. I do want to see how those guys that we traded to them are doing, just for fun. Just for fun. So those guys are both on defense. So we have Novoselicev. Haken's playing top pairing. God damn. Shout out to Haken for getting a good chance. 16 points this year. Not crazy. +9, but still, he's been good. And then there's also, obviously, our other defenseman that used to play with us, Yuri Novoselicev. 12 points, +4. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right. So there is that. Let's take a look at the trading block for fun, just to see if there's anything worth upgrading our team with. But I feel like almost we just want to run our roster and just see what it does again. But at the same time, that might not be a good idea. So in terms of the trading block, Anaheim has McTavish, Rakoff, Dubinsky, Powell on the block. That's not a bad depth forward. And Hybert. Some options there for sure. Boston, more prospect related, which we don't really need more prospects. Buffalo's got Riker, Evans, Friese on the block, Parasak, Pecker as well. Calgary has Borgo, McIntyre, Carolina, Loktionov, Geeky. Not really a ton there. Chicago has still Gabriel Dag on the block. I feel like he's been on the block his entire career at this point, which is kind of funny. Colorado, Jet Luchenko. Not really much else there. Columbus has Wakabayashi on the block. That's an interesting defenseman. Not that I really need to upgrade our defensive core much, but Braxton Wakabayashi has been pretty bad apparently this year, but he has been good in the past. I do remember him from our good little playoff series we've had with Columbus in the past. Same with Denton Matejchuk. They also have Noka Leinen. A lot of their defenders are on the block, and Michael Misa. Maybe Michael Misa is still what this team needs. Dallas. Nothing. What about Detroit? Giordano's on the block as a defenseman. What's your first name? Guillermo Giordano. This guy's gotta be friggin' Italian with a name like that. Guillermo Giordano. That's definitely an Italian. It says he's Austrian, but you guys know he's Italian just based on that name. What else is there? Edmonton, some prospects and depth options. Florida, same type of boat. LA. Not really seeing too much out there. I wonder how Neil Kinan's doing in LA. Haley's on the block, our former player, signed with the Minnesota Wild in the offseason. He's having a pretty solid year there offensively, 22 points again, 42 games, but -7. Maybe we should have held on to Haley, but I don't know where I would have fit him in, to be honest, on this roster at this moment. But yeah, there is some options on the block, but is there anything really that will make our team much better than it currently is? Like, we're having a good year. I think once we're back to full health again, that will actually start to solidify things a bit. I don't really even think we need anything whatsoever. We could always just promote from within too. But Rangers have Frolov, Suzuki, Rushny, Kavanaugh, Boye. Ottawa, Wallstead on the block. Holtz, Beck, Reese, and Franson. All right. Philadelphia's got Eklund, Cope, Humphrey, Kerslake, and Kuhlman. Yeah, there's definitely some options for the bottom six if we really wanted, but Dominguez a top 6 forward. Damn, this guy's a high overall at 19. Former 7th overall pick. I mean, if I was looking for prospects, I could bring in somebody like that, but I'm not looking for prospects. We already have some that might make our NHL team relatively soon. Matty Beniers on the block with 2 years left, but $12 million. Zikov on the block, who used to play with us for a little bit. Ferguson, Thornton. What's Thornton's first name again? Justin Thornton, okay. Always want to say Joe because of the J. Tampa, Wyatt Johnston at 37 years old. Damn. Toronto, Hainsey still on the block, our former goalie. Schneider's on the block. Utah, Brodziak, Pakashladi. Pretty much it there. Vancouver's got nothing. Vegas, nothing really. And Washington has Boganecki, another good goaltender on the block too. Winnipeg has Buzaz. Yeah, I don't know if I would trade for any of these guys or not, because like I said, our roster is so good on paper already that we might just want to run it back again and see how the team does in the playoffs. We also do have a lot of solid young talents in the AHL and unsigned too that might be making it relatively soon. Like if we look at in the system here, Dempsey's under contract, but he's not AHL eligible yet. He's very close to making it. Like he should probably be on our NHL team next season. Just got to get that offensive awareness a little bit higher probably. Then Carlson maybe is a depth defenseman at some point. Savage is pretty close to being a bottom 6 option for this team. Potentially. Sprooks is kind of close. Erzberg maybe makes it as a defenseman at some point. Lindsay is also developing. Like we do have a lot of prospects, but we just got to wait for some of them to actually develop still too. A lot of lowlights that are unsigned. Goalies, they're still like Komatov, who's 19 years old, and also Nicholas too. Like these guys might make it soon too, in terms of the backups. Like Komatov in his second season's having another solid year in save percentage, but the team is doing abysmal apparently. How is Nicholas doing in the AHL? This is his first season in the minors. Also same type of boat. He's doing okay in save percentage, but looks like the AHL team is having a tough time for no reason. I'm not too sure what the issue in the AHL is, if it's the coaching staff, but there should be much better results in the minors, but there isn't. So, maybe we can promote from within, but at the same time, maybe we don't. Maybe just keep the team the exact same. Unless there's guys to trade for and all of that. What is this draft class looking like out of curiosity? And then I'll end off this episode probably. Since we do have 2 first-round picks, I want to see if there's anything that we might be able to get this upcoming off-season. We might have 2 late first-round picks potentially this year, so let's go to the late parts of this first round, see if there's anything. Maybe a low late here in Christian Macmillan, who looks like a generic top 6. We'll pin him anyways. Richter, we don't know too much about. Top 6D, Sakic? Brendan Sakic, What about Sharnqvist? I don't know about this draft class right now. Obviously, it's tough to tell because we're early into the season still, but might not be a strong draft class for us, which means trading away a first-round pick might be okay, but I'm not too sure if there's anything that we want to trade our first for. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Your Calendars Franchise Mode. So, in next episode, we'll probably simulate the last half of the season. We might make some trades if you guys think it's necessary, but this team is trending in the right direction as of late. We're 8-2 in our last 10 games. So, I think our team should be pretty much good and locked into the playoffs almost if they continue on this pace. Obviously, it could come crashing back down, but I honestly don't see it happening because we are going to have guys starting to come back from injury soon. And once those guys are in the lineup, hopefully they make a little bit more of a difference to this team, and we can continue on this winning trajectory. So, anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.